Hey guys and girls, it is time for another episode of Watching Giant Deer Antlers Grow, and I believe this is week number 14. That's right, 14 weeks we've been watching these, and many of you have been with us since week 1. Those of you that have not can go back and look at some of those other videos and see what we've witnessed happen here in nature throughout the year. Now, some of these deer, we've got 3 giant bucks, Whitey and Bazooka, which are brothers, and Bubba. Bubba is ginormous. He's ginormous. That's all I can say. That's the only word I can think for him. Ginormous. That's a big buck. And then we've been watching some bucks at the house, some little bucks, little spikes, little 6 point, 06 and 6 point. And Forrest, my baby, a little twin that we've got, Forrest, we raised him from a bottle. His mama rejected him and he was about to die. We nursed him back to life, raised him from a bottle. He's got his first horns this year, a beautiful little 8 point. And his daddy TC, we got TC also. That's the other buck, and then plus some smaller bucks. So we're watching deer antlers grow, and we've been doing this now. This is week number 14, episode number 14. And so we're going to get right with it, and let's just go take a look and see what Forrest and TC looks like, and see if they change much. I think that we're getting pretty close to the maximum amount on these deer. What do you think? It is always easy to get a pretty good look at Forrest. All we have to do is simply come out here and say the word grapes or rattle the South Fresh feed cans a little bit, and Forrest shows up to get his picture taken. He is a really nice looking buck, and I spilled some South Fresh food down here, and so you can see what he looks like. Pretty easy to count his points. He's a beautiful 8 point. And born May of last year, so he's a little bit over a year old. I guess getting close to 15 months. He's got a beautiful, perfect 8 point rack. He's got one brow tine a little bit longer than the other. Is the only thing that keeps him from being perfect. If you want to look at it from a positive method, one's a little longer. If you want to be negative, you say one brow tine's a little bit shorter. But I'm going to say that those brow tines are pretty doggone close, and he's pretty much a beautiful, typical buck, and he's big. He's just big. You can see how fat he is. I mean, he eats a lot in the wild, and plus he's just a vacuum cleaner around the house here when we put feed out. He's just a vacuum cleaner. He just eats and eats and eats. And he's not but a month older than Nina down there, but you can see the difference in him and Nina. But Nina's just a little bitty small deer, triplets from a small deer, Lucy. But this guy here is just absolutely a gorgeous 1-year-old deer. He's got that long nose, which is characteristic of Iowa bred deer and the genetics that we have here on the ranch. He's got that long nose. He's got a big neck. He's going to really be an amazing specimen of a white-tailed deer if we can keep him alive for 3 or 4 years. He's just a beauty, and he's so friendly and so tame. Now, I don't know what's going to happen this fall. We're hoping that he doesn't get too ornery, and we're hoping that maybe once he gets in the rut a little strong, he'll run off chasing does and he won't hang around the house too much, but we'll see what happens. The only problem with that is there's a lot of does around the house, so not only will he probably be hanging around, he'll probably have a lot of other wild deer. We've got some really big deer on the Eagle, and they come around a lot with all of these does here, and I'm just so disappointed we don't have more babies, but anyway, that's what Forrest looks like this week. It might be like Chris getting better every week. You don't notice too much of a change from week to week. I don't think he's changing much. He is a dandy, though. All right, let's go take a look at Whitey, Bazooka, and ginormous Bubba. Let's take a real quick look at TC here at the house. He just come up this evening, and we'll take a real quick look at him. He looks beautiful. He's got some nubbins, is what somebody started calling them, coming up of his head. It's going to get him on up there point-wise. But he is a really big deer. Look at the size of how wide that rack is. And they are trying to split out there on the end and become maybe a little bit of a crab claw. I'm not real sure. But they are going to split out there on the end, look like. And I think I don't know if he's attained his maximum width and the maximum amount of mass that he's going to get, and they just might split on the end or not. But he's actually a really big boy. And just an incredibly huge deer. I mean, the deer weighs 250 pounds probably. Body-wise, he's probably not too far off Bubba. He's very close to being the size of Bubba. TC was actually raised in a pen also. We turned him loose when he was 4 years old. So he has been maybe 5 years old. I lose my time sometime, but he's been out in the wild for since about last October. So he's pushing a year. You know, he's about 10 or 11 months, 10 months or so that he's been out in the wild. We let him breed out in the wild, and some of these baby fawns running around are definitely his, I hope. We're sure hoping to get that line. I know that Forrest is one of his babies, and Forrest looks beautiful. We will take some looks at Forrest here. Also, Forrest is obviously a pettable deer. He's one that we raised that was abandoned by his mama, twins, Forrest and Jenny. We haven't seen Jenny since well, probably 4 or 5 weeks now, maybe. We thought she went off to have a baby, and she's never returned. She might have got out and got chased by something and got lost and just can't find her way back to the house, or something could have happened to her bad. You know, we just don't know. And but there is TC right there, and he's a nice looking deer. Just an incredibly beautiful deer. I mean, just incredibly beautiful. Going to have about a 10-point mainframe with those extra nubbins, as somebody's calling them, there around his horns coming out of the top of his head. Another 4, 5, or 6 there. So there is TC, and he's a dandy. Now let's go take a look at Bazooka and Whitey and Bubba. Yeah, I am a little earlier than normal, and we got a little bit more sunlight here than we probably should have, and it's a hot day. It's a 95-degree day. I think I got to 97. It was 94 when I left the house up there. But we want to take a look at what we got here, and we're going to look at, to start with, we're going to look at Whitey and Bazooka. Whitey, you remember how we identify Whitey? Whitey has got the tag in the wrong ear. He is tagged as a doe, but obviously he is not a doe. His tag is in the left ear, and that'll be Whitey right down there in the corner. We're going to take a look at him, and I'd try to get a few still shots if I can. I'd like to have some stills where y'all can just take a real good look and maybe kind of count those points for me. It's kind of hard to count them when they're moving. I don't know, maybe Pat can freeze one of these shots in here. I don't really have a good camera with me at all. I'm not a camera person. I'm not very good at this. But this is both of them together, so you can see I'll move down just a little bit. I don't want to get really too awful close, as hot as it is. I don't want these guys running. But I'll get down there and let you take a good look at both of them right there. Maybe Pat will give us a nice still shot of that or something when they're looking this way, and you can count how many points they're going to have there. I saw my light just change, probably because I'm shooting into the sun quite a bit. It darkened it up. They're down there in the shade a little bit, but I will move around and try to get them out in the sunshine a little bit more. We've got 5 babies in this pen. They're doing great. We're making week after week after week here in the month of August with our babies, and it just tickles me to death. It's just so, we just had devastating effects the last 2 years with numbers of babies dying. And the one thing I hate about this is these babies that die. And we have a way larger percentage of babies that die in the wild that die in our pens here, because we take care of them so good. We vaccinate them, we doctor them, we take care of them as well as we possibly can. You lose just the coyotes alone over 40% of the wild babies, and you can kind of watch what's going on around the house and see how many wild babies we're losing. We really only got 1 baby coming around the house, all those wild does, and they have somehow lost the majority of their fawns. I mean, it's just it's heartbreaking. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. I figured that we would have 10 or 12 baby fawns running around the house all summer, and not that we need more deer in Lucy's herd, but I thought we would. But we only have 1, and it's born to a wild deer that's not tagged. That deer might have been, it could be an offspring of TC, an offspring of Whitey. Both were out in the wild. TC is still out in the wild. We've left that deer out in the wild. He's beautiful. He's surviving just beautifully out there. That's Whitey out in the front. You can see the red tag in his left ear signify that that's a doe. Signify that he was identified as a doe as a baby. But you know, we don't really handle them too awful much when they're babies. We catch them when they're less than 48 hours old. Actually pick them up and doctor them. We doctor them, we tag them, and we feed them some medicine that helps their insides, vitamins that we squirt and put down. It's kind of a paste stuff, and they eat it, swallow it. It tastes really good. It's helped me too. It's really good stuff. And they don't put a tag in my ear is the only thing that I don't try with them. But But the medicine's good for them. We put a little iodine on their navel and on their hooves, so we got to get rid of any parasites or anything there. And of course, we put down humeric acid in the pens throughout the year, once every 3 or 4 weeks, to kill the parasites and bugs and stuff. We spray the pens every other day. So these deer are really pampered, and they really do well. We kind of take a little bit of look down there and look down there in the corner, and you can see our babies, and you can see how much they've grown. Now, the amazing thing is the antlers on the bucks are going to stop growing if they haven't already. They may be about as big as they'll get. Some of y'all can look back at last week and see what you think. See if you think they're still adding. I think Bazooka might be still, Bubba might still be adding. If anybody's adding, it's Bubba. I promise you that, because he is just, golly, he just won't quit adding mass to those big antlers up there. He's got an incredible rack. But you can see how big those babies are getting. They're up taller than their mama's belly now, and you remember how tiny they were to begin with. We have 5 babies in this pen, and they just have changed. They changed so dramatically, really, from week to week, that it's kind of like those antlers when they're growing. They start out growing, and they're just a couple little nubbins up there, and they get as big as what we've looked at in these pens right here. And the babies, they are so tiny when they're born, and they're so little, and they're so helpless. And yet, then they get, and you get in a situation where then they start going the other way, and they start getting larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And I don't want these deer running much, because, like I said, they got a nice breeze out here, which really helps. But it is, it's hot. You know, it's 95 degrees. Heat index probably up around 100, and so it's hot. It really is. But the deer are just looking absolutely gorgeous right now. Again, I only see 4 babies there. Do I see 5? Oh, I see all 5. Yeah, they're all 5 there. Yeah, or do I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're all 5 there. There was a little one hiding back in the back, and I couldn't see it. That little one was kind of worried about, but it's hiding back in the back. All 5 babies right there. They're doing beautiful. One doe's got a little scrape on her side there. Somebody thought it looked like a hole in her side. It's not. But they're just beautiful. They're all fat and sassy and healthy and in great shape. And Bubba, Bazooka and Whitey are just about as gorgeous as deer could get. I mean, just take a look at those things. They're just absolutely incredible. I mean, that's just all I could say. I'm so proud of these. These are these guys' second horns. I keep saying we're going to try to score those horns. We just have not had time to do that. I got to just admit the fact that taking care of Chris is several hours every day. It's kind of taken out of my schedule. And even though I don't go to bed till about 2 o'clock in the morning, it still leaves an awful lot to be done. And I got to admit another thing, too. I've always said this. Chris is such a big, important part of our company. And she does an awful lot of work that it's taken Mandy and Sherry and myself to try to keep up with the work that she was doing, and I don't think we've got it done. But anyway, y'all want a still shot? That's a good one right there. That's beautiful right there. So if Pat will freeze one of these shots into a still shot and separate those with a little bit, you might be able to count those horns and let me know how many points you think these guys have got. Now, in the eastern part of the United States, southern part of the United States, we count both sides. We don't count one side. We count them all. If he grows it, we count it, and we score it, and we love it. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. The little guy come up here checking me out. He come up here to checking me out. He's right up here about 10 feet away from me. He says, hi, Jimmy. How you doing? That's a little girl deer. We probably have as many shots as deer peeing as anybody in the world. They pee all the time. As bad as Chris. There is another look at Bazooka and Whitey and his little herd. They have come to the front side of their double pen, and they're over there eating a little grass and enjoying themselves. There's just another little look at them. You can see all the babies right there, all the does that's in here. This pen's only got 2 bucks, and one of those bucks we're going to turn loose, probably Whitey again, since he's been able to survive out in the wild without having a critter get him. This big old doe over here, I love her. She had triplets, but look at her. It looks like she still got triplets. I love her. She's so huge. She's just huge. She is just a big, beautiful buck. But the babies all over there, some of them laying down, some of them standing up. They're just enjoying the evening breeze. The winds have come back from Oklahoma. We had just seemed like the whole summer was calm, but the winds have come back, and that's another good look at Whitey and Bazooka, two really prized whitetail bucks. Well, I can't see the screen. I don't know what I'm pointing out there, walking right into the sun. But what I can tell you is it's a bunch of baby deer. A bunch of baby deer, and they are growing. And look at those babies. They're just absolutely gorgeous. They're getting larger and larger. We have 17 babies in this pen. I'll say 22, but we have 5 in the others. We have 17. If you look at them, they're a lot of different sizes, because see that little guy over there? That was probably one of the very last ones born. A little tiny rascal. And being born late, it's just a couple, 2 or 3 weeks younger than the others. And you can look at those two deer right there, how large they are. Those babies, how large they are in comparison to the other one. Now you can see, I'd like to get them all three in the picture at once there, so you can see the difference in them, because it's just amazing. It's just amazing how much difference there is in the size of these deer. And I'm gonna kind of walk on back here, and I'd like to get where I can, as I'm walking, I really have no idea what I'm taking a picture of. I'm looking right into the sun, and so I can't see very well. I'd like to get in the shade down here. All the deer are probably gonna run over to the other side. You can look at all the babies. Are they precious? Are they precious? I mean, they're just absolutely gorgeous. Look at all of them. Some of them are still nursing when they get a chance. They're eating a lot of South Fresh deer food. You see that one try to nurse there just a little bit, but they're still working on mama if they get a chance. But mama won't let them a lot of times, and so. But you can look right there at all of those babies, how gorgeous they are. I mean, just look at them. They're just absolutely beautiful. One of the things that I dread every time I come to the pens, I come down here every day, and we see it several times a day sometimes, but I come down here every day, and this is one of the times of the year that I love the most, I hate the most. I love because of the babies and the excitement of newborn life and God providing us with more deer. But I tell you what scares me to death is dying. I mean, I hate this time of the year because of that, because the worst thing in the world is to come down here and find one of these little guys that hadn't made it. And we've only lost 2 this year out of 24 babies born in the pen, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's just absolutely great. I think a lot of it is that humeric acid that we put down. The stuff's expensive. $600 a pallet, so I'm buying it directly from the mine, $650 or something like that, and about another $400 to have it shipped. So it's very expensive, but if it saves me a deer or two, it's worth it. And we put it down about every 3 weeks. We spread it with just a spreader, like you're spreading seeds, but you can just see how beautiful the deer are. Now we come in here to look at Bubba, but you know me and the babies, how much I love them, and I can't help but want to look at the babies. So we're going to come back here and look at Bubba, and I swear, I believe he's still adding. I swear, I believe he's still getting larger. There is Bubba right there. There is Bubba standing there looking at us, standing back in the shade. It is noticeably many degrees cooler here in the shade, and with the wind blowing off the lake, it's even better. But if you'll look at that rack on his right side, it's his left side as he's looking at us, and you can see he's holding it up fine. He runs fine. His head might be tilted just a little bit toward that way, but it's pretty doggone straight most of the time. I don't know how in the world we're going to score that rack. I'm just hoping that we can get a score of it. We've got 4 rub trees in here for them that they probably will be rubbing that velvet off of. I'm thinking about getting 4 GoPros and or something like that, and putting them on those poles so we can start watching them rub, and maybe get some video and show y'all when they rub that velvet off. It ought to be pretty interesting to watch. It's going to be difficult for us to catch them doing it, which we'll try to do that also, but we can set a GoPro out there and I think let it run for hours on end, and probably get a little bit of stuff on there that we might want to look at. You never know, we might find some stuff in there that surprises us. You just don't know what we might find. But anyway, we're thinking about doing that, and probably will. I'll probably get some of those cameras and get some tapes that'll last for a long time. Look how big that baby is right there. That baby was standing there by. And that's a doe. That's a doe. It's tagged in its left ear. We only have, I think, 5 bucks out of these 22 does, but you know, they have all been bred to either that guy there or to Bazooka or to Cyclops, which was, we lost Cyclops, which is a terrible tragedy. Probably the blue tongue. We're not 100% sure, but there is the big boy right there that is just so impressive and so great. I'd like to get him out in the sun a little bit more where you can see those antlers a little bit better. I don't want him running a lot. I'm going to move over here just a little bit and see if he will move and maybe get out in the sunshine for us a little bit. I can't stay on him as I'm walking. The glare, and I'm looking right into the sun, so it's really difficult for me to hold this camera on that deer. And I'm shooting with an iPhone. I know that a lot of y'all told me I need to get a better camera and everything. And we've got extremely expensive cameras that we shoot Jimmy Houston Outdoors with, and we shoot quite a few of these YouTube videos. But when I'm shooting by myself like this out here, I'm using my iPhone. And one of the things about it is, you know, I could send these videos to Pat real easily, a lot easier than I can send them to him if I was shooting on a bigger camera or a regular camera. I can get these up to him this evening or this afternoon, and he'll have it, you know, ready to put on the air and edit them together and do all that. So, you know, we're making the best with what we've got. We do shoot professional videos, obviously, for Jimmy Houston Outdoors. We've done it for 45 years. ESPN, the Discovery Channel, Pursuit, WFN, CBS Sports, AT&T Sports Southwest, so many big national channels that we run on ESPN, ESPN2, and it's just, and we do that all with big time professional equipment and big time professional people that have been doing that for years and years and years. But Jimmy is not one of them. Jimmy is one that just has fun out here, just a redneck country fisherman, and enjoys wildlife and deer. And that little doe right there is real excited about me being down here. There, that's her right there. It's causing all of the commotion. She's blowing at me and running, and look at the babies. Look at the babies. Look at the babies. Look at the babies. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Looking at me. And now again, maybe Pat can freeze one of these pictures right like this that I've got and let you try to count how many points you think that guy's got. Now it's going to be a little bit easier counting those points when the velvet gets rubbed off, and we ought to be able to determine, but I'm going to say he's going to have 30 or so anyway, or 35 points. I don't know. But he is and he's 300 pounds. He's a giant deer. These are giant does that's in these pens right here, and he is a giant deer. Not quite as, he's a little bit larger than TC. TC's not quite as big as he is, but they're probably not that much difference. And keep in mind, TC is operating in the wild. He's in the wild. Of course, we feed him a lot at the house. This guy has an unlimited food supply right here. He gets all the food he wants. He has demand feeders. These deer here can eat until they it makes them sick if they want to, and I'm sure they probably do sometime. And you can see how big and fat and healthy they are. Look at that doe right there. That's a yearling doe. She's just a year old, but look at her. That deer right there is probably 2 years old. And just look how big and fat and beautiful they are. The babies, same thing. They've got all they can eat, so they're going to be beautiful, beautiful deer. We'll probably turn the 5 little bucks out this fall. Let them have a go at it in the wild. Because if you keep bucks in here in the fall, these big deer will kill the baby bucks. We don't want that to happen. So that's a look at Bubba, Bazooka, and Whitey in the pens, and plus our babies and our buddies outside. Okay, guys and gals, that will wrap up week number 14 of watching giant deer antlers grow. You know, I don't really believe they're adding much, if any, but Bubba still seems to be getting bigger. Maybe he's just so big that he looks like he's getting bigger every week. I really don't know, but I'm telling you, it's just absolutely amazing to me to think that he's gone from 2 little knobs sticking out of his head about that to what he is right now. It's just an amazing sight for me to see. And the other thing that's kind of amazing to me is there's some deer there at the house that are the same age, the exact same age of Forrest, that were born in the pens. They have great genetics. They have wonderful food. They've been taken care of, doctored, and they're a year old, and they have little spikes coming up, a couple of them. A couple of them 20-06. He's got a nice little 6-point, but it's a small little rack. And then Forrest, and not only that, Forrest has got this giant body. I mean, he's just so much larger than anything else. And you figure he was born May of last year, so June, July, August. So he's about not even 15 months old, and he is so big. He's bigger than, he's not, TC's his daddy, so he's got the possibility of getting as big as TC and having those big wide horns, but the perfect 8-point. I mean, he's going to be a dream come true if he can live to be 4 or 5 years old. And we're hoping that. We try to take care of him, but again, we're on a couple thousand acres here, and there's a lot of critters live here that love to chase deer down and kill them. And a lot of diseases, things go around. So I don't know, but we're doing the best we can, and we love them. We love them all so much. It's just amazing. But anyway, share this with your friends. Share this with your buddies, guys or girls. You know, even if you don't deer hunt, even if you don't care anything about big horns and big antlers, it's amazing to watch this act of God happen right in front of our eyes. And we can go back and look at week 10, week 6, week 2, week 1, week 13, whatever, and see what happens from week to week. It's just so doggone interesting. I can't hardly stand it. I just love it. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one this coming weekend. And remember, I sure do love you.